Now, in a petition submitted to the Indian Supreme Court, claiming that the Indian military personnel were directly involved in the war in Sri Lanka in 2009, has brought out mixed reactions from various stakeholders. Newsfirst delves deep into the issue in this 360-degree report.
A public interest litigation filed in the Supreme Court of India says that Indian military personnel took direct part in the war in Sri Lanka in 2009 and that some were even injured in battle. The Times of India reported that the PIL, citing eyewitness evidence and an international probe, was filed by Advocate Ram Shankar, the Secretary of the Delhi Tamil Advocates Association. The petition is to be considered before the Indian Supreme Court tomorrow. The petitioner Ram Shankar expressed these views to the BBC Sinhala service yesterday.
We have received plenty of evidence that the assistance of the Indian Army proved important in the final days of the war in Sri Lanka. This was revealed by a public judicial council which convened in Germany. We have asked the Supreme Court to establish a tribunal to look into which Indian military officers were there and what happened. We are pointing out through this case that Indian military personnel were involved. As per the Indian Constitution, if India is to deploy troops to another country, parliamentary approval is required. But the government did not obtain such approval.
However, former Army Commander Fonseka, also speaking to the BBC Sinhala service, rejected these allegations.
It is completely false. During the 2-year, 9-month-long conflict, no foreign army battled together with our army against terrorists. Our Sri Lankan army took the battle forward alone.
Prior
to this, the government had said that they received aid from several countries in the final stages of the war.
We did not receive any assistance from India in that battle. We purchased arms from some countries. Some countries provided us with intelligence, not troops. Some countries gave their approval for us to continue with the battle, but India was not involved.
It
was once reported in the media that technical officers from the Indian Air Force were injured in the LTT attack on an Air Force base in Vaunia. Could this incident be connected to this issue?
I am unaware of this matter. I do know that the Air Force used radar from India. I am not aware, however, if there were Indian Air Force technical officers in the camps. As far as I know, they were not there.
The advocate who lodged the petition says there are eyewitness accounts that an Indian Sikh officer was the commanding officer of Indian forces on the ground.
It is a baseless lie. The commanding officers in Kilinochchi, Mullaitivu and the entire north and east were Sri Lankans. No foreign armies were involved with us.
Army media spokesperson Brigadier Ran Vanagasuriya had this to say on the matter.
Sri Lanka and India have enjoyed thousands of years of historic relationship, and this relationship has grown from strength to strength after independence. Particularly in the field of defense, the Indian armed forces have assisted the Sri Lankan armed forces in their professional development, particularly in training. There have been number of training exercises wherein Sri Lankan armed forces and Indian armed forces could share knowledge and experience with each other. So we are truly grateful to the Indian armed forces for the assistance that they have provided in professionally developing the Sri Lankan armed forces. We appreciate the support that the Indian armed forces have provided the Sri Lankan armed forces in the professional development by way of training and assistance in other exercises.